Good afternoon. The sugarcane industry has been meeting with the Minister of Trade, Industry and Competition, Ibrahim Patel, and the Minister of Agriculture, Tongaat Hulett, to discuss the next phase of the sugar industry value chain master plan. The sugarcane industry says it's suffering from the sugar tax, which was imposed by government several years ago. Also, other developments in the industry, including the accounting scandal at the sugar processor Tongaat Hulett, has seen thousands of jobs being put at risk. Andrew Russell is the chair of the SA Canegrowers Association. Andrew, good afternoon to you. Look, it's been a rough few years for your industry. You've been talking to government about this new master plan. What is the plan actually going to change?
Good afternoon, Stephen. Yes, well, the master plan was actually launched in 2019, and we've just concluded the first phase of that master plan. And today's meeting was to discuss and consider how and whether it's necessary to continue with the plan. We've certainly achieved a lot in the last 5 years. We faced numerous headwinds, as you've said, but we have managed to stabilize the industry to the point where we can now consider some other measures to make it more sustainable going forward, including, of course, diversifying away from just sugar and molasses, which is the foundation of the industry at present. So we're very encouraged that there's general consensus that the master plan process still has legs, and there's a willingness to continue with a renewed social compact between the various stakeholders in order to steer our industry into a more sustainable and more diversified future.
Okay, so, I mean, what measures is government going to take? What measures are going to happen now? Diversification is an important thing. Do people need support to do that?
We certainly do. A lot of work was done in the first phase in identifying how and where we can diversify our value chain. And it's very clear that there are numerous possibilities, but they certainly require support and they require further investigation. So that's one area where we would appreciate and need government support, as has every other sugarcane industry around the world, which has successfully diversified, have had considerable support from their governments to do so. So that is one area. The other area is in protecting and reinforcing the value chain as it stands at the moment. There's a role to play there. Government can do more to make sure that they are procuring locally produced sugar in return for price stability and commitments around the pricing of sugar. We'd be looking for commitments on offtake by local users of sugar, not only the retailers but also the industrial users, to make sure that that our sugar gets used on the local market and we don't end up exporting more than we have to into a skewed and below-cost world market. So there's a number of areas that we still require government support in order to drive our industry to a more sustainable future.
You talk about a below-cost world market. In other words, in some cases, people, maybe not our farmers, but other farmers on international markets are being forced to sell below what it costs to produce. Is that just because there's less demand for sugar, or are there other producers which are competing against our industry strongly, other countries, I mean?
Yes, so Brazil is the big driver in that space. They are producing sugarcane and sugar and ethanol on such an enormous scale that they're able to do so much more cost effectively than most other countries around the world. And so they dictate the world market price of sugar, and it is well below the price that we could sustainably produce sugar in South Africa.
And the sugar tax, what impact does that have on you and your members? I mean, the sugar tax obviously being imposed by our government, so it only affects our market here.
Yeah, no, the sugar tax has had and continues to have an enormous impact on our local sugarcane value chain. It was instituted in 2018 and has had a devastating effect on livelihoods, jobs, and also locally sold sugar. 2 sugar mills have closed, partly as a consequence of the sugar tax. So we continue to lobby with government around the tax and find ways to ameliorate the impact of that tax.
There have been other problems too. I mean, I think no one saw the Tongaat Hulett scandal coming, and it's now in business rescue. If I remember correctly, it was actually almost bought by 2 Zimbabwean brothers who appear to be involved in the illegal tobacco industry, which would lead to all sorts of other consequences. How important is that company to the industry? If it goes down, what happens?
Yeah, no, it's foundational to the industry. They process more than 25% of the crop. They provide a home for more than half of the small scale growers that produce sugarcane in South Africa. So they are critically necessary within the context of our industry. Fortunately, that business rescue process seems to have or seems to be working towards a sustainable outcome. There were a number of bidders. There's been a successful bid that has been selected. They're going through the process, the due diligence process of verifying, their credentials and their financial backing. We're very hopeful that those mills and the refinery that are associated with Tongaat Hulett will continue to operate and will continue to provide a home for probably around 14,000 growers that supply cane to those mills. So very important.
Andrew Russell, thank you. Chair of the SA Canegrowers Association. Do appreciate the time. Well, of course, interesting developments around that master plan.